Good day, Nigeria and the world at large. Welcome to the Seat of Life Television Global News Today Hour. I am Sammy James, and with me in the studio is Tummy Oliva. Tummy, how are you today? How has your day been?
Thank you, Sammy. How are you today? Good day, Nigeria and the world at large. I am Tummy Oliva, your co-news anchor. Together, we bring you the top stories shaping our nation and the world today. First, the main headlines. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu assures Northern Christians of fairness and commits to uniting Nigeria and tackling insecurity during a meeting with Christian leaders in Jos. He also paid tribute to the mother of the APC national chairman, Lydia Yilwata. Former President Goodluck Jonathan denied media reports that he said Boko Haram nominated former President Buhari for dialogue with the government. There is a political warning from Jandor for former President Jonathan not to contest against President Tinubu in the 2027 elections. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar criticized President Bola Tinubu's visit to Plateau State for the burial of the APC national chairman's mother, calling it a mockery of leadership as it ignored citizens suffering from insurgency. Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Hon. Benjamin Kalu, urged recognition for President Tinubu's funding of projects in Abia and other southeast regions. Security issues continue with government assurances to defeat bandits and combat farmer-herder clashes.
On the state news, Senator Iola Omisor announced his intention to contest the 2026 governorship election in Osun State on the APC platform. Nearly a decade after a devastating fire gutted the iconic Oba market in Benin City, Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo has promised to complete the long-delayed market reconstruction by June 2026. The Lagos State Police Command arrested 5 suspects involved in a violent cult clash between rival groups in the Onireke and Isashi areas. On business news, Nigeria's stock market showed a strong performance in the third quarter of 2025, with the Nigerian Exchange All-Share Index, NGX-ASI, returning 18.95% to investors. Concerns are rising in Nigeria's capital market over the introduction of a 25% capital gains tax, CGT, on equities, set to take effect in January 2026 under the new Tax Reform Act 2024. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, reported a 762% surge in oil rig count over 4 years, reaching 69 active rigs in October 2025.
On the global scene, Hamas is preparing for talks in Cairo aimed at negotiating a ceasefire and the release of hostages in Gaza. The U.S. hopes these talks will halt the war that has lasted nearly 2 years and free hostages held by Hamas. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu faces backlash within his far-right coalition amid U.S. pressure, while efforts to end the Gaza war continue. Oil prices rose about 1% following a modest output increase announced by OPEC+, easing concerns over supply. Protests erupted across Europe and globally in response to Israel intercepting a Gaza aid flotilla, amid continuing international concern over the Gaza conflict. We will now take a short break, and when we return, we shall delve deeper into the details of the news in full. We plead with our viewers, if you have not subscribed to our channel, please take a moment to do so now. Press the subscribe button, click the notification bell, like, share, and make your comments. Thank you.
You are welcome back from that break. Now, the news in full. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, during a meeting with Christian leaders at the COCN Church headquarters in Jos Plateau State, emphasized his mission to unite Nigeria and ensure fairness among all religions, including northern Christian communities. He assured that his administration is committed to tackling insecurity, including fighting terrorism, banditry, and farmer-herder clashes. The president also paid tribute to the late Lydia Yilwata, mother of the APC national chairman, describing her as a devoted mother and humanitarian. He highlighted his own family's religious diversity, stating he married a Christian pastor without forcing her to change her faith. The event included funeral prayers for Lydia Yilwata, with many top government officials and leaders in attendance. Clergy thanked the president for his support for Northern Christians, including appointing them to key government positions, and pledged their support for his renewed hope agenda. The president also reaffirmed efforts to revamp Nigeria's economy for the benefit of all citizens.
Former President Goodluck Jonathan clarified and denied media reports that he accused former President Muhammadu Buhari of having links with Boko Haram. At a public event on October 4, 2025, Jonathan said Boko Haram insurgents once nominated Buhari, his successor, to negotiate on their behalf with the federal government after his administration set up committees to explore dialogue with the group. However, Jonathan emphasized that his comments were misrepresented, and he never suggested or implied that Buhari had any connection or support for Boko Haram. Jonathan explained that Boko Haram's nomination of Buhari was part of the group's deceptive tactics, including falsely invoking the names of prominent Nigerians to create confusion. His remarks were meant to highlight the complexity of the insurgency and the manipulative strategies Boko Haram employed during its early years. Also, Jonathan stressed the shared goal of both himself and Buhari to restore peace and stability to Nigeria. In response, Buhari's former spokesperson, Malam Garba Shehu, refuted the claim as false and politically motivated, affirming Buhari's firm stance against terrorism. Jonathan's office urged the public to disregard distorted interpretations of his comments, reaffirming his commitment to peace, unity, and democratic values in Nigeria.
Dr. Abdul Aziz Adediran, popularly known as Jandor, and the 2023 PDP governorship candidate in Lagos, has warned former President Goodluck Jonathan against contesting in the 2027 presidential election. Jandor described Jonathan's potential bid as a political risk likely to end in defeat, emphasizing that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a master politician who cannot be defeated by Jonathan or any other contender. Jandor highlighted that Tinubu's rise to the presidency was the result of relentless effort and political battles, contrasting it with Jonathan's accidental assumption of power. He urged Jonathan to heed advice reportedly given by his wife, Patience Jonathan, not to contest. Jandor praised Tinubu's economic reforms and called for continued support for the president, pointing out that the reforms are starting to yield positive results nationwide. He strongly conveyed the message that Jonathan's 2027 bid would fail and portrayed Tinubu as unbeatable in the upcoming election.
Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar sharply criticized President Bola Tinubu's visit to Plateau State on October 4, 2025, describing it as a mockery of leadership and proof that Tinubu's priorities do not align with the suffering of ordinary Nigerians. Atiku condemned the president for attending the funeral of the mother of the APC national chairman, Lydia Yilwata, rather than visiting states severely affected by insecurity to console victims and grieving families. Atiku called it deeply unfortunate that despite worsening insecurity and thousands of lives lost across Nigeria, President Tinubu had not visited any of the most terrorized states to empathize with victims. He lamented that Tinubu only remembered Plateau, one of the most terrorized parts of the north-central region, to attend a political social event instead of sharing the pain of the people affected by violence. He described Tinubu's actions as a heartless exhibition of disregard for empathy, compassion, and the dignity of human life, highlighting that from Benue to Niger and Kwara, the government had shown continued insensitivity to victims of violence. Even during a symbolic visit to Benue in June, Tinubu avoided the most affected areas. Atiku warned that Nigerians are watching and will remember the president's choices, accusing him of preferring to feast while Nigerians suffer.
Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Hon. Benjamin Kalu, has urged recognition for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's role in ensuring the funding of major projects in Abia State and across the Southeast region. Speaking during events in Abia State, Kalu credited President Tinubu for allocating resources and driving infrastructure development that has accelerated economic growth in the region. Kalu highlighted that Tinubu's administration has provided substantial funding for a 464 billion legacy road project in the southeast, covering a 123-kilometer road stretch, with significant payments already made towards its completion. He praised Tinubu's inclusive approach to development, noting similar initiatives impacting other southeast states like Enugu, Ebonyi, and Anambra, including the expansion of major roads and modernization of key infrastructures. The Deputy Speaker also appealed for continued support and partnership with the federal government, urging the Abia State government and the Southeast region to give credit where due for the ongoing federal projects transforming the area. These include improvements in road networks, railways, healthcare facilities, and enhanced connectivity designed to revitalize the entire Southeast economy under Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda.
Security challenges in Nigeria remain severe, with frequent deadly bandit attacks and ongoing farmer-herder clashes, especially in the northwest and central regions. In the first half of 2025, at least 2,266 people were killed by bandits and insurgents, surpassing the total deaths from 2024. Kidnappings also remain high, though slightly reduced compared to the previous year. Recent attacks include a fresh killing of 27 in Kogi State's Yagba West by a heavily armed gang that also seized 6 machine guns and over 30,000 rounds of ammunition from the Nigerian army in Kwara State. These bandits ambush military units based on intelligence, terrorizing communities, abducting residents, and forcing mass displacement. In Katsina State, bandits went on a killing spree with over 50 dead following attacks on Muslim communities, including a mosque attack in Unguwar Montau, where 25 worshippers were killed. Security forces have deployed reinforcements, but communities live in persistent fear. The Nigerian government and military have reaffirmed commitments to defeating bandits and securing affected regions. Recent military operations have sought to dislodge bandit hideouts and recover arms and ammunition. Despite these efforts, insecurity poses an ongoing crisis, with communities in several states under siege, demanding urgent and robust security responses. At this point, we will take a short break, and when we return, we will consider news on various developments and happenings around Nigerian states. However, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please take a moment to do so now. Press the subscribe button, click the notification bell, like, share, and make your comments. Thank you.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams and some modestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable. Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will.
Welcome back from that short break. Here are the happenings across our states. In Osun State, Senator Iola Omasor, a former deputy governor of Osun State and ex-national secretary of the APC, has officially announced his intention to contest the 2026 governorship election in Osun State under the All Progressives Congress, APC. He made this announcement on his official X, formerly Twitter, account and plans to formally declare his candidacy on Tuesday, October 7th, 2025, at the APC Secretariat in Osogbo. Omisor's campaign theme is Fix the Broken, Restore Our Dreams, emphasizing the restoration of hope, strengthening governance, and delivering a brighter future for the people of Osun. He described the ambition as a collective mission and called on party members and the citizens of Osun State to join him in the Osun Rescue Mission 2026. Omisore has a long political history in Osun State, having served as deputy governor from 1999 to 2003 under the Alliance for Democracy (AD), represented Osun East in the Senate from 2003 to 2011, and contested previous governorship elections under different parties before joining the APC in 2021. He is considered a leading contender for the APC governorship ticket in 2026.
From Edo State, nearly a decade after a devastating fire gutted the iconic Oba Market in Benin City, Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo has promised to complete the long-delayed market reconstruction by June 2026. The project, transforming the market into a mall-like structure with over 450 stores, restaurants, a mini fire station, and modern facilities, has reignited hopes among displaced traders for economic revival and a return to livelihoods without displacement. The reconstruction of Oba Market in Benin City, Edo State, is progressing steadily with a target completion date set for June 2026. This initiative, championed by Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo, aims to rebuild the market into a modern structure resembling a shopping mall, featuring over 450 open stalls, lock-up shops, restaurants, and a mini fire station to ensure safety. The project marks a significant revival effort nearly a decade after devastating fires gutted the market along with other key markets in Benin City. Work includes structural reinforcement, improved drainage systems, modern stalls, enhanced fire safety measures, and digitalized market facilities. Traders who were displaced by the fires and had been using makeshift stalls expressed optimism about the reconstruction, expecting the project to restore their businesses and improve commercial activities without further displacement. The government has assured priority allocation of shops to former owners based on their original paper documentation, aiming to protect the traders' interests. Governor Okpebholo also took regulatory steps by banning market unions' activities temporarily to help control the high cost of goods and services. The administration's commitment to the project reflects in active contractor mobilization and ongoing construction work to bring the historic Oba Market back to life, boosting economic revival in Benin City.
From Lagos State, the Lagos State Police Command arrested 5 suspects involved in a violent cult clash between rival groups in the Onireka and Asashi areas. One person was confirmed dead, and several victims were rushed to the hospital for medical attention. Police recovered firearms, ammunition, and other weapons from the suspects and have assured residents of continued security and safety measures. On October 4th, 2025, around 10 p.m., Lagos State Police Command's tactical squad responded swiftly to a distress call reporting a violent clash between rival cult groups in the Onireka and Asashi areas of Lagos State. The clash resulted in 1 confirmed death and 3 victims being rushed to Badagry General Hospital for urgent medical attention. 5 suspects were arrested following coordinated police operations. The suspects are Victor Christian, 43, Samuel Success, 29, Balogun Emmanuel, 43, Wisdom Chukwuemeka, 28, and Oche Job, 39. They were apprehended at a hotel believed to be their hideout. During the search of the premises and their operational vehicle, police seized weapons, including a locally made pistol, 2 pump-action rifles, 52 live cartridges, 2 spent cartridges, and a cutlass. Other items recovered include a Toyota Avalon car, multiple mobile phones, an HP laptop, a Nigerian passport belonging to 1 suspect, and various accessories. The suspects remain in police custody pending further investigations and prosecution. The police have increased patrols and deployed tactical teams in the area to prevent retaliatory attacks and maintain law and order. The operation restored calm to the affected communities and reassured residents of security support. Let us go on a short break, and when we return, we will join our business correspondent, Patience Alice, who is standing by to bring us up to speed on the latest developments in the Nigerian business market. However, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please take a moment to do so now. Press the subscribe button, Click the notification bell, like, share, and make your comments. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the Seed of Life Television Business News. I am Patience Alice. Nigeria's stock market showed a strong performance in the third quarter of 2025, with the Nigerian Exchange All-Share Index and GXASI returning 18.95% for investors. The market opened Q3 at 119,980.4 points and gained 22,731.9 points to close at 142,710.5. Marking the best quarter of the year so far. And the key sector performances include the NGX Insurance Index leading with a 57.65% surge, industrial goods rising by 39.32%, consumer goods climbing 27.89%, and banking advancing 18.5%. The oil and gas sector experienced a modest gain of 3.51%. Among the top performing stocks were Nigerian and ML, which saw 108.65% gain in Q3 2025, and several heavyweight stocks classified as SWOTS, stocks worth over 1 trillion naira, which posted share price gains above 15%. These stocks significantly contributed to the overall positive market momentum. The strong market performance was driven by solid corporate earnings, favorable macroeconomic conditions such as steady disinflation, currency stability, continued monetary easing, and robust institutional investor activity. Institutional inflows reached $133 billion year-to-date as of July 2025, supporting market liquidity and price momentum despite some retail and foreign investor outflows. Analysts at Cordros Securities predict continued positive returns with an expected additional gain of 11.9% in the fourth quarter of 2025, making the Nigerian stock market one of the best performing in Africa this year. Concerns are rising in Nigeria's capital market over the introduction of a 25% capital gains tax (CGT) on equities, set to take effect in January 2026 under the new Tax Reform Act 2024. The announcement has caused investor anxiety and fears of capital flight, especially among foreign investors, due to the steep tax rate and some ambiguities in the policy. Ko Aidal, chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, clarified that investors who sell shares but reinvest in fixed income securities or non-equity assets will be taxed at 25% on capital gains. However, retail investors are largely exempted because of a high exemption threshold of 150 million annually, which effectively shields 99.9% of individual investors, mostly protecting small-scale traders and the average retail investor. Despite this exemption, many capital market operators warn that the retroactive computation and high rate could deter portfolio investors, increasing the cost of equity and potentially reducing foreign direct investment. Foreign investors, in particular, face a combined tax risk due to CGT layered on top of foreign exchange risks. In response to these concerns, the Nigerian Exchange Group, NGX Group, has engaged stakeholders to clarify and ensure the competitiveness of the Nigerian stock market. Discussions are ongoing about prospective calculation methods, the treatment of cross-listed securities, and recommendations to minimize compliance complexities. The government expects to raise significant revenue from the CGT, potentially up to 1 trillion annually, but authorities are urged to balance revenue generation with maintaining investor confidence, critical for Nigeria's economic recovery and market growth. While the tax reform aligns CGT rates with corporate income tax, there is a call for a review to address issues raised by market participants to avoid adverse impacts on long-term capital market development. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission and UPRC has reported a dramatic 760.5% surge in Nigeria's oil rig count over 4 years, with the number of rigs jumping from just 8 in 2021 to 69 as of October 2, 2025. This remarkable increase includes 30 active rigs, 8 on standby, 5 on warm stack, 4 on cold stack, and 12 rigs currently mobilizing or in transit. This surge signals a strong revival in Nigeria's upstream oil and gas sector, driven by policy reforms under the Petroleum Industry Act (PIA) and a positive investment climate promoted by President Bola Tinubu's administration. The NUPRC has also identified about 400 dormant oil fields, spurring renewed exploration and drilling activity as operators address these previously inactive sites. In addition to the rig count growth, the NUPRC highlighted more than $40 billion in new investments flowing into the sector as evidence of renewed investor confidence. The Commission has recorded impressive revenue surpluses for 3 consecutive years despite challenges from the pre-PIA era, contributing significantly to Nigeria's economic growth. NUPRC's achievements also include approving major asset divestments, such as Nigeria Agip Oil Company's stake transfer to O&O Energy Resources and Equinors to Chapel Energies. The Commission reaffirmed its commitment to sustaining reforms designed to maximize Nigeria's hydrocarbon potential and secure sustainable energy growth. The rising rig count is a key indicator of the sector's health and future production potential, reflecting an increasingly conducive environment for upstream investments in Nigeria. This is how far we can go on our business news today. We now return to the news studio for the world news. Please subscribe to our channel if you have not. Press the subscribe button, click the notification bell, like, share, and make your comments. Thank you. Over to you, Jonathan and Olivia.
Welcome back from that short break in the business news. Now, from the foreign scene, Israel and Hamas are preparing for indirect ceasefire negotiations in Cairo, Egypt, aimed at ending the nearly 2-year conflict in Gaza and facilitating the release of hostages. These talks, set to begin on October 6, 2025, are seen as the most comprehensive effort to resolve the ongoing war. The negotiations involve delegations from Israel, Hamas, the United States, and Middle Eastern countries like Qatar and Egypt. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, President Donald Trump's son-in-law, are part of the U.S. team. Hamas has tentatively agreed to the release of approximately 20 Israeli hostages it still holds, and is prepared to transfer control of Gaza to a transitional committee. In exchange, Israel is expected to release hundreds of Palestinian detainees, many of whom are not formally linked to militant groups. U.S. President Trump has urged negotiators to move fast to implement the ceasefire framework he proposed, which includes an initial Israeli withdrawal to a yellow line boundary as of August 2024. Although some bombing in Gaza has paused, there is currently no official ceasefire, and clashes continue to affect civilians. The talks also focus on broader issues such as governance in Gaza, security arrangements, and mechanisms to ensure a lasting peace. Despite optimistic signals, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio emphasized that while progress is being made, work remains to achieve a final resolution. Overall, the international community is hopeful that these negotiations will bring an end to the conflict, free hostages, and restore stability to the region.
Still from the Middle East, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is currently facing significant backlash within his far-right coalition amid U.S. pressure and internal political strife. The ruling coalition has been destabilized after 2 ultra-Orthodox parties, the United Torah Judaism (UTJ) and Degel HaTorah factions, quit the government in protest over the failure to pass a bill providing military service exemptions for ultra-Orthodox Jews. The Shas Party, another key ultra-Orthodox faction, is also threatening to quit, which would strip Netanyahu of his parliamentary majority. This instability places Netanyahu in a precarious position, facing pressure to either negotiate a compromise on the military conscription issue or risk the collapse of his government. If the ultra-Orthodox parties fully withdraw, Netanyahu's government could become a minority, which may hinder its ability to pass legislation and govern effectively. At the same time, Netanyahu faces strong opposition from other far-right parties, such as the Religious Zionism Party and Utzma Yehudit, who have threatened to undermine the government if a Gaza ceasefire deal is reached. This political tug-of-war makes it challenging for Netanyahu to balance fulfilling U.S. expectations for progress on the Gaza war and maintaining cohesion within his coalition. The potential for early elections looms if the crisis escalates, as Netanyahu may seek to control the political narrative instead of facing a protracted collapse.
Protests erupted widely across Europe and beyond following the Israeli Navy's interception of the global Sumud flotilla, a convoy of 41 ships carrying over 400 activists and humanitarian aid bound for Gaza. This flotilla included high-profile participants like climate activist Greta Thunberg, Nelson Mandela's grandson Mandla Mandela, and former Barcelona mayor Ada Colau. The Israeli military boarded the vessels in international waters near Gaza, detaining all activists and taking control of the ships. Israel described the mission as a provocation and asserted the flotilla violated its naval blockade, while activists claimed they were unarmed and that Israel's actions amounted to piracy. Israel assured that the activists were safe, but announced plans to deport all detainees. Mass protests burst out in several major cities, including Milan, Paris, Barcelona, Dublin, and Buenos Aires. Tens of thousands marched through city centers, chanting slogans like "Gaza, you are not alone," and demanding an end to the Israeli blockade. In Barcelona, around 70,000 protesters rallied, some clashing with riot police. Pro-Palestinian demonstrations merged with anti-government labor strikes in France. Similar protests also took place in Karachi, Mexico City, and other global locations. The flotilla's interception drew sharp condemnation from governments and rights groups, citing the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza, which faces famine after nearly 2 years of sustained bombardments. The incident has been compared to the 2010 Mavi Marmara episode, heightening international tensions surrounding the Israel-Gaza conflict. These protests signal broad global solidarity with Gaza and call for sanctions against Israel, while highlighting the complexity and emotional resonance of the ongoing conflict.
The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, announced a modest increase in oil production by 137,000 barrels per day, starting in November 2025, matching the same output hike made in October. This measured increase aims to address ongoing concerns about a potential global supply glut, while allowing the alliance to regain market share lost to U.S. shale oil producers and others. The coalition, including Saudi Arabia, Russia, and several smaller producers, has increased its output targets by over 2 million barrels per day this year, roughly 2.5% of global consumption. Saudi Arabia favors a more aggressive increase, potentially much larger than the agreed amount, to capitalize on its spare production capacity and expand market share rapidly. Russia, however, advocates a more cautious approach due to production challenges from international sanctions. The decision reflects confidence in a steady global economic outlook and healthy market fundamentals, but also caution to avoid pushing prices lower. Despite the production increases, oil prices rose by about 1%, with Brent crude closing above $65 per barrel and U.S. West Texas Intermediate near $61, partly due to relief among traders that the increase was not a dramatic surge. The gradual production hikes signal OPEC+ strategy to balance supply and demand, while maintaining price stability amid complex geopolitical and economic conditions.
This is how far we can go today on this segment. Stay with us as we bring you daily global news from this channel. Thank you for watching the Seed of Life Global News Hour. Please subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. Like, share, and comment on the videos. Please be reminded that our other transmission continues by 7 p.m. West African time today. Before then, the programs shall be rolled out on our social media platforms. Have a great day.